Hi, my name is Lisa Steinberg. I'm from Starry Constellation Magazine. It's a pleasure to speak with you all today.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is such a funny but like resonating film, and I wanted to ask a little bit about how the view that we get from Almost Popular gives this new, fresh ex lens on the dichotomy of the high school experience. What is it about the film that offers something unique and fresh that we get to see?
Um, I think it's the unique aspect of it is obviously playing within the social media, um, and using that as kind of the differentiator from old films and old high school hierarchy films. But I also think that this film just has a lot of heart at the core of its film. It's a film about acceptance. It's really about people coming together. So while I think a lot of other high school films have had that, this one, I don't know. I just felt it feels like such a good comfort film where you and your friends or your girls have a sleepover and you put on something that you're just like, I need a break from all the craziness that's going on in the world. And it's just such a fun, sweet watch. And I think you get a little bit of a life lesson um, out of it. And I think it's a little bit less about relationships and more about who you are as a person and who you want to be. So I think while a lot of other high school films were about like, let's get this girl, let's do that, that was more of a back burner for us. What was really important for us was to show growth in these characters and show that the popularity and all that stuff doesn't really matter. It's about building a core friend group that you can rely on and trust for years to come. I think it's about friendship and acceptance, and I think that's a little bit of our little twist. Elodie, Sarah, anything from you guys?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the same thing. I think that the film is, well, not exactly the same thing, but I think the film is obviously very trendy in the sense of like the things that kids get made fun of for today in high school is the same thing that you would see in this film. Like, it's pretty real in those aspects. Of course, there's certain parts that are way done up and dramatic and great, but it's that shock factor that we all love to watch in a film. But for sure, at the core of it, it's reality of today and what goes on in high school and how kids handle it, and insecurity and differences that people tend to point out or make fun of, and learning to accept that and know that that's a part of who you are, and it shouldn't be your whole difference, it's just you.
Mhm. And also, Almost Popular really plays up the comedy of funny things that could happen in high school and all the things that could go wrong. And we love to play into that and kind of exaggerate it and make it as entertaining as possible for the audiences to watch.
I mean, there's like a Mean Girls kind of feel to it, of course, but then there's like American Pie in a way, like
Yes.
old school, uh,
Mhm.
not to say my age, but my old school, type of films where it's got, like the Ferris Bueller of it all element to it, which I really enjoyed. That it's not just about these like misfit kids, but it's about everyone as a whole and their experience in high school. Because you never know the struggles that someone else is going through, whether you're popular, not so popular, in the middle, or wherever you feel you fall.
Exactly.
Thank you for referencing those films. But yes,
Yeah.
the films are from a lot of the films that I looked at and watched were films that were classics for me as a child and that I watched. The Ferris Bueller's Day Off, all those, the Breaking the Fourth Wall is probably what you're kind of talking about. Um, but yeah, I did extensive research on all the films that made me feel something when I was younger, and I watched new ones, and I said, okay, well, what can we do that's different? And I think that was put in the style of the film. It's unique. Um, yeah, but the film was a is a throwback to a lot of those classic films uh that I grew up watching. And what I think is fun is if you go to the movies with your mom and dad or your, whoever, an older person, they're gonna go, and I think that's part of the best part of the film for me is that you can sit down, a 40 or 30-year-old person can sit down next to a 15, 16, 18-year-old person, and they will laugh at completely different parts of
Yeah.
the film. There's something for everyone in the movie.
I think that also Breakfast Club is a big one. It's, all these different teens who are from such different groups coming together and like figuring out, wow, like we actually enjoy each other. This is very strange. Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, why did no one ever tell us this before? And I think personally for me, I'm still in high school. And I think a big part of this film also is that there's never a specific group for you. There's just people that you enjoy, and you're going to always be interested in different things. Like, compared to my friend group, I'm a massive theater kid now because of high school. Like, high school brought out my inner theater kid, and I am obsessed through the roof. I love my theater class. I love my other theater kids, and none of my other friends are interested in that by any means, but I force them to be because they love me so much. You just have to be like, you have to find the people that love you and accept you no matter the crazy things that you're into.
You talk a little bit about, of course, this sweet, heartfelt moments, but there are also, of course, this great humor beats that we get from the film as well. Maybe specifically Elodie and Sarah, you could talk a little bit about kind of crafting these moments and the chemistry of playing off the other cast and characters that we get to see, and how you kind of constructed those moments from script to the screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. With Vicky in particular, she has tons of cutthroat lines and like mean things that she says to people. And I went about that because I guess I'd always wanted to play like a high school villain character. So when I booked this, I was just thrilled. And I
Right.
took inspiration, obviously, from Regina George and Megan's Body, or I mean Jennifer's Body, Megan Fox, Megan's Body, Sharpay Evans, more of like what I grew up with High School Musical, but I just kind of tried to twist it into my own version. I kind of did like a Y2K, like social media enhanced, TikTok obsessed version to really make her as mean as possible.
Yeah, I think for sure, originally how it's written also, there's all those funny beats and great comedic lines. It's really just about how you say them and comedic timing, I think. And I feel that as like everyone did so well in this film, especially with their character and bringing out the comedy in their character. I mean, I watched Ruby and Reed do so much improv too within this film that really just hit, and everyone behind the camera was just like dying laughing. I think another big part for me is always my facial expressions. I have, a very kind of big face in the sense of like I can move it in all different directions, if that makes sense. And so always giving a nice eyebrow raise and being like, what's good? And a little bit Jim Carrey-esque for me for sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, dialogue not always isn't, specifically from the script. I mean, the way that you express a character can give you like a cutting look or a smirk or even a side eye can
For
offer
sure.
a lot in those in between lines or in the little beats in between
And the
those lines.
subtext.
The subtext. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
subtext. Your characters, both Sarah and Elodie, are a little bit brittle, but a little bit like, again, the underlying that we never know what's going on in someone else's life, or, like the pressures that they feel just on the flip of the coin. Can you talk a little bit about with those moments that we get to see for your characters, how maybe the view of the outsiders aren't exactly the same as what you see for yourselves as a character?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for sure for Vicky, I would say Darby personally, like she kind of is who she is, who she is. We don't know much about, her personal life or at home life. I think that for sure Darby probably has a little bit of her own insecurity that I feel that I struggle with too. And it's much easier to watch what other people are doing and judge what other people are doing and talk about what other people are doing than personally what you're doing yourself. And I've definitely found that trait within myself, which I tried to change a lot for sure this year, because it's something that can come off very negative and reflect poorly, but it is Darby's job in this film. So of course I wanted to portray that. I think for Vicky, like, for me, I watched many kids grow up, and the pressure of your parent can be so much and so crazy. And like, no one wants anything more than just to please kind of their parent and have their parent feel proud of them in a certain sense. And I've watched a lot of parents try to push a certain thing on their kid that they wanted for themselves and never got, and have their kid make that come true for them.
Exactly. And you see that in the film with Vicky's character because she's so mean at school and you're like, why are you acting like this? But then she goes home and her mother is the one who is convincing her to be this way and telling her she needs to be the most popular and she needs to date this person and do this and be the queen of the school because she wanted to do that and was that when she was younger. So she's kind of living vicariously through her daughter. And her mom is the one who is putting all this pressure on her to act this way.
With you, Sarah, still being in high school, and I don't know, Elodie, if you're still in high school at this point or not, but
Long one.
but what kind of, I guess, then really, I would say from each one of you, you as well, of course, yeah, as well, what you kind of took away from being a part of this film, like what did it offer you in a new view of either high school dynamics or what it's like to be of that generation, where there's, as again, as you talk about, there's themes that still resonate, but there's also new things in the social era of things as well that offers another way to, or a more in-depth way, for high school dynamics to kind of feel so heavy.
Yeah, I think for sure for me, this film has been a big part of my life before, anyone even knew about it because my mom is the writer. So it was always helping her and kind of giving my stories, or she would overhear something on the phone. So I think that, like, I don't know how, like, in a sense, this film brought me so much self-confidence because it's so heavily related to me and my family and my experiences. And it's almost like these really traumatic things that I've gone through are now in these comedy films. And I'm like, girl, but everyone's like laughing. And it's like, just to learn that life happens and to roll with it. And high school has been very difficult for me. When I first came to high school, I did not feel cool my sophomore year. I felt like the weirdest kid ever, and I was having mental breakdowns and like, no guy's ever gonna like me, and I'm so ugly, and this, and that. And that's when I played Darby Duncan. Actually, was during that time period, and I feel as though after seeing this film and as it's finished, I kind of just realized like I am a very odd person naturally, and I am kind of weird, and I am kind of crazy, and maybe some guys are not gonna like me, and that is perfectly fine.
That's
Well,
what makes you special.
Sarah, there is going to be some guys who are going to love your weirdness.
That's the
I'm
best part of
also
you
a
too.
weirdo
Like
at
that,
heart.
don't tone that down for anyone because that's the
No,
best part of you too. So,
it
I'll,
is.
if
Right.
I can
And,
say
and
that.
you don't want to be in something where you can't be yourself. That's the most tiring situation on planet Earth.
And also in high school, I was not popular and I was also a weirdo. And I just kind of, my high school was enormous. So I would meet new people every day and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was not part of the popular group. So being part of almost popular and playing like the ultimate queen bee of the school, I was like, this is what this feels like. But I will say that I am very glad that social media was not like as big as it is now when I went to high school, because I can imagine how much more pressure that just puts on you to try and fit in or find your people or want to have more likes on Instagram. It just seems like so much more to think about.
Yeah, I would have been a TikToker if I went to high school this generation. No, I'm just kidding. The film, to be honest, the film came into my life in such a much needed time. Um, Not to get too personal, but I was going through a lot of stuff. I met Pam, who wrote the film, and it really just it just gave me something to wake up to and work on. And I made lifelong friends from it. Sarah has became like a little sister to me. Ellodee is, we're close. Ruby, these kids have just impacted my life in such a positive way. And a lot of the crew and everything. The one thing about this film and why I probably love it so much is it was like working with your family. I've known some of these people for 10 plus years, and I brought them in and we made a movie together. So I think when you watch the film, there's just this sense of love in it and care in it that I don't know if you will see in other high school films, but to me, I see it. There's so much love. Even when I had my breakdowns and everything, there were people still lifting me up. And in my high school experience, I was a late bloomer. I didn't really go through puberty till I was like a junior. So I was small. I was bullied. I was pushed around. Then I became, I opened my shell up and I played football and I did all these things. So to me, every character in the film I could relate to because at one point in my life, I had been the mean person. I had been the gossiper. I had been the sweet person. I had been the runt. I have played all these people. So, um, I had a very unusual high school experience because I went through all the different genres, all the different circles and all that stuff.
Phases, yeah.
So I felt like I had a good understanding of everything. I don't know, but yeah, I think the film has changed me and changed my life and has made me a softer person. And I attribute that to the cast and the crew that helped me at that time.